So, good day everyone. Good afternoon. I'm your proctor for today. I'm Mr. Reynaldo Viña. And kumusta kayo? Before we start, magkamusta muna tayo. Kumusta kayo?
Ayos
Nasaan yung
naman
mga
po.
students natin? Very
Okay
good. Okay, kung ganon. So, before we proceed to our class discussion, let us all have a short prayer. So, let us all bow our heads and feel the presence of the Lord. So, Ama namin ng pinaka mataas at dakila sa lahat, pinupuri ka namin. Maraming salamat po sa araw na ito, sa aming muling pagkikita-kita para sa aming online class. Manguna po kayo sa amin at gabayan niyo po kami. Bigyan niyo po kami ng sapat na lakas at talino upang matapos at magamparan po namin ang gawain namin ngayong araw. Ito lamang po ang samot na langin namin sa ngalan ng aming tagapagligtas, si Jesus. Amen. So let us start. So what do you observe about our surroundings for today? The temperature, our weather. What do you observe, class?
Medyo lumalamig na po, sir.
Oo, lumalamig na because siguro dahil sa December na din, kaya malamig na din. So, thank you sa sumagot. So, I had asked you these questions because today we're going to talk about climate. So, I will share you my presentation about climate. Nakikita niyo po?
Yes po.
Opo, sir.
Sige. Thank you. So our topic for today is all about climate, the factors affecting climate, and its different types. Our objectives for today, the end of the discussions, the learners are able to understand the definition of climate, identify the factors affecting climate, and determine the different types of climate. So, what is climate? Can you give me the definition, or can you define climate in your own, Mr. Matugi?
For me po, climate is the average weather condition in a given area po over long period of time.
Very good. Thank you for your answer. What is climate? According to the Merriam-Webster, climate is the average weather conditions in a place over a long period of time, which from 30 years or more. So when we say a long period of time, this is the continuous existence of a specific phenomena. Continuous, ibig sabihin, hindi nagbabago, patuloy lang siya. Pero may mga instances na nagbabago din pala. So, as you probably already know that there are lots of different types of climates on Earth. Before we tackle about the different types of climate, let us all first determine the different factors affecting the climate to understand why we have these different types of climate. So these are the factors affecting climate. The elevation or altitude effect climate, the prevailing global wind patterns, topography, effects of geography, surface of the earth, climate change over time. Let's talk about it one by one. Elevation or altitude effect of climate. Normally, climatic conditions become colder as latitude or altitude increases. Live zones on a high mountain reflects the changes. Plants at the base are the same as those in surrounding on the countryside, but no trees at all can grow above the timberline. For example, Baguio City with an elevation of 1,500 meters, the annual temperature is 18.3 degrees Celsius. And so the climate there is cold but not freezing. Meaning to say, yung height ng isang lugar or yung taas ng isang lugar ay nakakaapekto sa klima. Na kung saan, halimbawa natin, yung Baguio, kaya malamig yung Baguio kasi mataas yung posisyon niya. Next, prevailing global wind patterns. There are three major wind patterns found in the northern hemisphere and also three in the southern hemisphere. These are average conditions and do not essentially reveal conditions on a particular day. As season change, the wind pattern shift north or south. So does the intertropical convergence zone, which moves back and forth across the equator. Sailors call this zone the doldrums because its winds are normally weak. Latitude and angles of the sun rays. As the Earth circles the sun, the tilt of its axis causes changes in the angle of which sun rays contact the Earth and hence changes the daylight hours at different latitudes. In related with the global wind patterns. For example, a west wind might bring warm moist air from over an ocean, and east wind might bring cold dry air from over a mountain range. Which wind prevails has a big effect on the climate. Here in the Philippines, you have two types of prevailing winds, which are the hanging amihan or the hanging amihan and hanging habagat. Next is the topography. The topography of an area can greatly influence our climate. Mountain ranges are natural barriers to air movement. In California, winds of the Pacific Ocean carry moisture-laden air toward the coast. For example, the coastal range allows for some condensation and light precipitation. Inland, the taller Sierra Nevada range brings more significant precipitations in the air. Clouds, clouds evaporate and dry conditions prevail. Or on mountainous areas, tends to have more extreme weather because it acts as a barrier to air movements and moisture. On one side of mountain, they can be dry, while the other side is full of vegetation. Mountains can cause a physical barrier to rain clouds. Next is the effects of geography. The position of town, city, or place and its distance from mountains and substantial areas of water help determine its prevailing wind patterns and what types of air masses affect. Coastal areas may enjoy refreshing breezes in summer when cooler ocean air moves ashore. Places south and east of the Great Lakes can expect the lake effect, snow, winter when cold. Air travels over relatively warmer waters. In spring and summer, people in Tornado Alley in the central United States watch for thunderstorms. These storms are caused where three types of air masses frequently converge: cold and dry from the north, warm and dry from the southwest, and warm and moist from the Gulf of Mexico. These colliding air masses often generate tornado storms. Next, let's proceed to the surface of the Earth. Just look at any globe or a world map showing land cover, and you will see another important factor which has an influence on our climate. The amount of sunlight that is absorbed or reflected by the surface determines how much atmospheric heating occurs. Darker areas, such as heavily vegetated regions, tend to be a good absorbers, while lighter areas, such as snow and ice-covered regions, tend to be good reflectors. The ocean can absorb and loses heat more slowly than land. Its waters gradually release heat into the atmosphere, which then distributes heat around the globe. Lastly, climate change over time. Cold and warm periods punctuate Earth's long history. Some are fairly short, others span hundreds of thousands of years. In some cold periods, glaciers grew and spread over large regions. In subsequent warm periods, the ice retreated each period profoundly affected plant and animal life. The most recent cold period, often called the Little Ice Age, ended in Western Europe in 1850. Since the turn of the 20th century, temperatures have been rising steadily throughout the world. But it's not yet clear how much of this global warming is due to natural causes and how much derives from human activities, such as burning of fossil fuels and clearing the forests. So these are the types or factors affecting climate. Next, let us now talk about types of climate. So what are the common types of climate? Can you give me one, class? Mr. Mark, can you give me at least one type of climate?
Ako na lang po. Sure ako na lang po.
Sige po.
An example of climate is tropical, if I'm not mistaken.
Thank you. Thank you for your answer. So today, we're going to, today climate scientists split the Earth into approximately 5 main types of climates. So these are the types of climates. This is the tropical, dry, temperate, continental, and polar. Now let us now talk about them one by one. Types of climate. Number one is a tropical. A tropical climate is a type of climate typical in the tropics. It is a damp climate in which all 12 months have been temperatures above 18 degrees Celsius or 64.4 degrees Fahrenheit. Some tropical areas have rainfall throughout the year, usually in the afternoon. Others have a wet season and a dry season. For example, because of monsoon. So tropic climate can be experienced or can be seen here in the Philippines. Next is dry. Dry is a climate, or these climate zones are so dry because moisture is rapidly evaporated from the air and there is a very little precipitation. Deserts and steppes comprise the regions that are characterized by dry climates. These are arid and semi-arid areas that have three main characteristics: have very low precipitation, high evaporation rates that typically exceeded precipitation, and wide temperature swings both daily and seasonally. Dry can be seen at the country of Egypt. Next, temperate. In this zone, there are typically warm and humid summers with thunderstorms and mild winters. Temperate climates are generally defined as environments with moderate rainfall spread across the year or portion of the year, with sporadic drought, mild to warm summers, and cool to cold winters. Quoting Simon's year 2000. Example, this type of climate is normally located along leeward lower east coast of continents such as southeast and central Argentina, Uruguay and south of Brazil, the southeast portion of East Asia, the southern United States and South Africa, Ethiopia, and Eastern Australia. Next is the continental. These regions have warm to cool summers and very cold winters. In the winter, the zone can experience snowstorms, strong winds, and very cold temperatures, sometimes falling below 22 degrees Fahrenheit or negative 30 degrees Celsius. Russia is the world's largest land area, and it has a continental climate. European Russia has a warm continental climate like the southern parts of Siberia and the Far East. Siberia and cold northern pole are subarctic, with winters being severely cold. The Arctic Ocean islands show a polar atmosphere. Next, but not least, the polar. In the polar climate zones, it's extremely cold. It is extremely cold. Even in summer, the temperatures here you never go higher than 50 degrees Fahrenheit or 10 degrees Celsius. Polar climates are found at the very top of the Earth, near Canada, Greenland, and Siberia, as well as the very bottom of the Earth in Antarctica. So these are the types or 5 types of climate. Let's talk about the importance of climate. Climatic conditions help to shape various ecosystems and habitats around the world. A globe particular climate can be a boon to one species and a devastation to other. As the climate changes, species and ecosystems respond by adapting, migrating, or reducing their population. So let us not forget the importance of climate. Now, let's all have a recap about our lessons for today. So today we have discussed about climate, the definition of climate, that climate is the average weather conditions in a place over a long period of time where there are 6 factors affecting the climate. These are the elevation of altitude or altitude effect of climate, prevailing global wind patterns, topography, effect of geography, surface of the earth, climate change over time, and there are 5 types of climate. These are tropical, dry, temperate, continental, and polar. So class, do you have any questions about our discussions for today?
Wala naman po.
Sure?
Yes
Sure
po.
po?
Yes
So
po.
thank you for listening. For today's activity pala, activity time to be passed next week. Next week pa naman to guys, huwag kayong mag-alala. So the direction, here's the direction. Give one place or name of a country which is located on the following equatorial lines that experience the following types of climate. You can use globe map or model to locate these places. So andun na po yung which is A, B, C, D, E. Andun na po yung tropical, dry, temperate, and continental and polar. So madali lang po ito to be passed on next meeting. So guys, what are the different types na po ng climate natin? These are the
There are 5 types of climate po, particularly the tropical, the dry, the temperate, the continental, and the polar.
very good. Thank you. So we have no more time left. So thank you for listening and I expect na mapapas nyo next week yung ating activity and expect for short quiz about our topic for today. So thank you very much class for joining our online class and hope you have learned our discussion for today about climate. Thank you and that's all for today. Goodbye.
Bye po.
Thank you.
Bye po.
Thank you po. Thank you. Thank you.